In this module, you will use the brown paper jacket you created in the last module to test the accuracy of your form and make adjustments. Now take your form and put it over the last. You will note that there are some severe creases in the vamp area. Here. This is understandable as the paper is very stiff. To get rid of these creases, we take our brown paper jacket and frumble it up. The smaller the creases, the softer and more pliable the paper will be. You can do the whole jacket or just the front if you like. I am just doing the vamp area. Be careful not to crease too much as this weakens the paper. Now you can see that it fits much better. We now have to make sure it fits tightly on the last when we pull it over the vamp area at the joints. Your check number 1 is see if the paper lies flush with the top of the last. To fit the brown paper test onto the last, we fit it over the top and then turn the last upside down. Now take a strip of tape and tape it to the center back bottom of the last. Now take another strip and attach the outside joint to the bottom of the last. Make sure that it is 100% center and level to the feather edge. Take another strip and attach the inside joint as well. Make sure to pull it tight. This edge might be longer or shorter than the feather edge. If this happened, don't worry, as it is normal. As you can see, our paper test fits very well at the back and over the vamp area, but here on the toe it is slightly in the air, so we need to correct this. We now have to find our vamp point and girth lines on our test. It's a good idea to put these lines on before the test. If you have not, just tackle your form and determine it from there. Now get your top line points and slot between the inside and outside top line points. This will release the toe so that it can go down in odd place where it should be for a good fit. You will notice that there is a little gap at the vamp point. We need to measure this. In my case it is only 1 millimeter, but I will still make the adjustment. So I slot my form from my top line point through my vamp point. This is the same as we did on the test, and then we also slot from the top line point through the joint point, but leaving the top line point intact with 2 or 3 millimeters. We now open the vamp point by 1 millimeter and tape it in place. Our form will now fit on the last perfectly. Our test fitted quite well, but you might run into some other problems, so let's look at them. If your top fits flush, it's great. If not, you will need to make adjustments which we will deal with now. If it fits, then well done. But do take note of the problems that might arise next time so that you can fix them. If the top does not go down, the first thing to do is check the back of the last area. Many times it is too tight either on the top or the bottom while the opposite is loose. To correct this, slot the tight end so that it will release the paper jacket to move a little forward. This will allow the top to go down onto the last. Now that the jacket can move forward, the back is tight against the last on the top side and the bottom has opened. We will now have to tape up the back piece that has opened up. And once this is done, we need to redraw the center back line. Sometimes we run into the problem where we end up with these creases in the vamp area. This is caused by the toe being too low. To correct this, we take our knife and cut across the girth line from top line point to top line point as in the correction of the toe being too high. Now we overlap this cut, and you will notice the test now fits perfect. Now take a pencil and mark the overlap. Now measure the distance of this overlap. Here I get 5 mm. Now take your form and cut from the top line point down and from the top line point upward along the girth, leaving the top line point intact. Now at the vamp point, make a mark the 5 mm or whatever your overlap distance was from the vamp point. Overlap your vamp point to the distance. You are now mimicking the correction you have made on the brown paper test. And we are raising the toe. Now tape the form in place. Now your form is corrected and will fit well. Once the adjustments have been made, your form should fit like a glove. The outside feather edge should fit perfectly. If not, you need to add or take off where necessary. You will see how this is done when we do our inside feather edges. In our case, you will note that it's a perfect fit and we are happy. In most cases, this will not be the case on the inside, unless you are working on a very symmetrical last. The scenario we have is the most common. We have too much material in the front vamp area and too little in the waist area. So we pull the paper tight against the last and mark the feather edge on the paper accurately wherever it overlaps the feather edge. This is usually from just behind the toe area to the joint area and varies from last to last. Behind the joint area in the waist, we are too short and need more material. When we are too short, we build the difference with some tape. Cut yourself a strip that is wide enough to cover the area between the paper and the last, and then place this tape over the area. Make sure the brown paper is pulled tight in the process. If you need to add more tape, do so. Now take your pencil and mark the inside feather edge in the tape area. Make sure the lines run smoothly from the front feather edge into the waist feather edge. Now take your knife and carefully cut on this line, removing any excess tape and paper. You can also cut all the supporting tapes for removal of the test. It's best not to cut the overlapping piece in the front, as it is easier cutting it on the flat cutting board. You can now lift the tape and remove the test from the last. In the next module, we will use the form and paper test to create our standard W.